let them engage us and give us the deal, and we give them ours. Ours are here, and we are not going to go back on what we are demanding.
Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever.
Referred to as an old man because he'll be clocking 60 at the end of the year. And I have written to him a letter as a secretary, because me, I cannot write a letter to myself.
I want to dispel the insinuation that circular is a mere piece of paper.
That the deductions are being made, but the money is being withheld by the Ministry of Education and Ministry of Finance. The teachers' salaries be used for that purpose without them being consulted. If it persists beyond 3 months, we shall call our members out to withdraw their labor, and that one will be very lawful.
All right, and of course, that is just from our museum there, the museum as we call it, just archives to refresh our memory even when we had a feisty nut as well. So we want to continue pace. Before we took a short break, I think Honorable Mukatana, you to comment, but I think it was Senator Okongo Mogeni before we come to you.
Student, I just sit
you
here.
just listen and take notes.
Yes, from Mukatana, realize, and then I go back and tell people today, I was in KTN listening, I was lectured by You know,
when we began, I was asking.
The kind of days
no.
Money has been required
Just you know why when we began, I'd asked you about when you said hello, good morning, then you answered good morning. It was very binary. I remember myself even one time as a teenager going to a radio station, and we were two of us. And so this radio host was asking me questions, and I was answering the way how you were answering. You know, the binary, So can you tell us? I was yes, no, yes, no. So this other lady was, very eloquent, and she could speak a lot. So after that, many years I come back, I said, how I did such a host a disservice? Because she expects more from me, yet my answers were yes, no, we'll do it. They're very short and terse. Anyway, I get you. So you're a good listener, I can see.
You know me, I have a problem. When I'm in this show, I don't like interrupting my colleagues. I give, some are good in interrupting. You say one thing, they cut you and chip in and all this. But I've listened. Dibal, it's good to debunk some of the theories. The first one is the statement on easing the pressure on the dollar was made in March. And we were told the moment we implement this G2G deal, you will see the way the dollar will now weaken towards the Kenyan shilling. That was in March. From March to now, and these are statistics, you can check from Central Bank, the Kenyan shilling has lost further by 22%. It's at 152, and it's on a free fall. So that has not helped as a country at all, Debal. Two, it has not stabilized or made the fuel cheaper for us. In Tanzania, our neighbors, when there was a drop in the fuel prices in the global market, they reduced the cost of fuel in Tanzania. In Kenya, because we are tied to this G2G thing, we are not able to adjust our prices downwards. The kerosene one went down because they don't want to call it subsidy, but because there is a government subsidy on it. That's why it dropped a bit. Now, in terms of, you had my friend telling you that our economy is doing so well, so the people in the diaspora have made a lot of remittances back home. We speak to Americans. Kisses are the largest population. They are calling us. They are telling us, you guys, what are you doing? Our parents are crying. So every month, their parents are calling them saying, please cushion us. This government is finishing us. The cost of living is so high. That's why you are seeing a lot of remittances, because people are chipping in to support families back home. It's not because that they are doing that to support the economy. I'm telling you, I can even bring my friends who are in the country here. I'm telling you, they're sending money back home because Kenyans literally cannot survive. That's what is happening. Then the ball, you have heard my learned friend telling you that the government has reformed education. Let me tell you, I don't know whether there are students who go to university in Tannery.
No, there are many.
I was in Nyamira, and you know, students in Kisii University told me, this one senator, if the government dare to implement what is happening, you know, the government has sent a notice to students that unless they clear their fees in the next 7 days, they are going to be chased away from universities. We will not allow that to happen. You're saying we are here to lament, to criticize, then you have not seen. Because Dibal, you cannot ask students whose fees is 153,000, they have just received 45,000 shillings from the government, and then you are giving parents 7 days notice to pay to the universities 100,000. Why will they get that money? So in terms of education sector, in fact, what you have done is to mess it up. I went to Nyambari High School. The capitation for students in the previous regime, Uhuru was giving students 22,000. This has gone down to 16,000. Now, are you making the education sector better, or you are making it worse? Nyambari High School, that was given 34 million in the other financial year, is now getting 23 million capitation. Are you making the education sector better, or you are making it worse? In terms of the allegation that the opposition is just lamenting, if you come up with bad policies, we have to tell you the bad. And reduction of taxes happens in many governments. Just last week I was watching CNN, Jeremy Hunt, the Treasury Minister in the UK, is lowering taxes, including even inheritance taxes, to allow transfer of property for people who are inheriting properties from their parents. What is happening in Kenya? Even a search, you know, a poor person who wants to go and do a search before selling their land, that tax has been increased by more than 100%, from 1,000 shillings all the way to 2,000 shillings. The Gazette notice that has been not nullified, where the court has placed an injunction. We are proposing to increase levies, the bar, even for the dead people. On a death certificate, you want to punish people to their graves. I mean, that's why when we're telling these things, we are trying to help your government to be sensitive to the Kenyans. You know, when we talk about VAT on tax, Dibal, it's not a matter of lamenting. We are telling you the increase on VAT on tax, Dibal, from 8% to 16% has made the fuel to go up, and then there is the spiral down effect on all the essential commodities, which the government needs to listen and do something about. The issue on housing levy, it's not lamenting. How do you tax people, Dibal, on gross income, on gross salary, not net? You're taxing Kenyans on gross salary for the housing levy. It doesn't happen anywhere in the world. Finally, Dibal, you know, all these things that we speak for the common mwananchi. And I've made a statement here that the government of the dead is having a big disconnect with the people. The issue of edible oil is a scheme that was urged by the government to make it affordable to the poor households. Do you know how that edible oil was imported? 2 liters jerrycans. Which poor household Kenyan is going to buy edible oil packed in 2-liter containers? You're bringing that for the people who do that is maybe me and Mungatana, the rich households. The poor cannot. Now you are again telling Kenyans that you are looking for other, I don't know how to call them, business people or some other players in the industry to buy that oil packed in 2-liter jerrycans, repackage it, and then release it to the market. That's not even all. The quality, we are being told by Kenya Bureau of Standards, is poor quality. 3, we are told it's another scandal because this oil was brought in with a duty waiver given to the Kenya National Trading Corporation. So again, the government has lost. But if you ask any common mwananchi out there, cost-benefit analysis, has the poor Kenyan benefited from the importation of this edible oil? The answer is none. Have some people in government benefited from this deal? The answer is yes. Has any action been taken against these cartels in government? The answer is no. You know, we are behaving like hyenas dancing on the graves of the dead. We must keep on reminding the UDA administration that you're causing a lot of suffering to Kenyans. Every policy that you come up with is to benefit a few cartels within government to the suffering of the common Kenyan. That is in Tana River, the Kenyan in Kitui, the Kenyan in Nyamira, the Kenyan in Nairobi. That needs to stop.
Let me say something. It is true that there was a bungling on that edible oil deal, and that is why he's asked what action have we taken. That is why the president himself has directed the head of public service to release a letter for in-depth investigation on what happened to that edible oil deal, because I know for a fact that actually the president went out of his way personally to make sure that that consignment, which was meant to cushion the people of Kenya against the high prices in edible oil, is reduced. You know, edible oil is one of the, we do importation of 540 billion in terms of the food sector. Edible oil takes the highest bill of this 540 billion per year, followed by rice, which takes about 60 billion per year. So the president was attacking this thing twofold. He was saying, for now, let us work a deal in which we can have supply in Kenya, and it cascades down to the people. Now, the ministry that was handling this thing bungled it. And that is why I agree with my colleague that action needs to be taken so that those culpable should face the full consequences of the law, and I fully support that. But the bigger question is, what are we doing about the edible oil? The policy that we are going about this thing is to ensure that all those areas that have capacity to produce, that I'm talking about the Western Nyanza area, and I think Governor Gladys Wanga, together with the national government, are working on making available the land and bringing in palm oil investors who are coming from Indonesia and other countries. So we have a plan in terms of ultimately reducing our import bill of the edible oil. That somebody has bungled that deal, the ministry and the officials involved. Some are even saying the former minister who was there. My prayer is that there will be no sacred cows. Let the deal be investigated, and those who are found culpable, they must be punished. Having said that, I wanted to say again that this government, this administration, sincerely, we came in at a time that was hard. And sincerely, we have put in a plan. And this plan, we are trying to execute it. And we have no problem with genuine criticism. People telling us this is not right, this is not right. But the problem I'm having, you know, the parliamentary system, the system we have of governance is that the opposition is government in waiting. So the correct type of leadership is when you say, what you're doing here is not correct. Our proposal is like this. They have nothing. They are not offering any hope to the Kenyan people. In fact, the worst thing they have done is to tell Kenyans, we will solve your problems by going to the streets, which brought more mayhem, death, destruction. And another solution, let us put sufurias on the head and bang to make noise. I'm saying this, let us engage. We are more than willing. If you believe this, what we are doing is not right, and you have a better idea, this is your government. You have all the opportunities to come and say something, and we implement it.
Right.
Look, when they raised the issues in the finance bill, the chair of the finance bill was able to adjust some of those facts. They never say this, but we actually adjusted some of the issues they raised because the budget committee was able to cut down on some of the proposals the government was bringing in. And this is how we want to engage. Let them come and say, look, we propose this as an alternative. But this thing of saying that we are doing nothing, this country has won international acclaim. This country has gone from the brink of collapse where Ghana is and other countries. In fact, as I'm telling you now, just last week, another African country was declared uncreditworthy. That makes 8 African countries. Kenya was going to be in that list. Now the world and the Bretton Woods institutions are able to do business with us because we are doing something right. And I'm asking our colleagues, come and help us do what is right. But this thing of saying we are doing nothing, Kenyans, we are dying, Kenyans, what kind of leaders are those who never discuss way forward? They discuss only problems.
Thank you. I expected also Okongo Mogeni, the fact that he says that you've been doing nothing as Azimio. You should have told Honorable Mungatana that also you had your chair of the Azimio Economic Council before the National Dialogue Committee, where and I can see also you gave 9 priorities as areas to reduce the cost of living. I'll read 2 of them. One was there are 9. The 4th one, he says we must reset macroeconomic policy mix for economic recovery. The 2023-2024 budget increases taxation and looks to the CBK as fiscal agent to support government borrowing over lending to grow the real economy. But this is tightening both physical and monetary sides in lowering output and sharply crowding out credit to private sector. I'll leave the rest of the details. I come to the 9th. He says immediate actions toward debt stabilization, debt default. If it happens, we will greatly impair any recovery. Early decisions are necessary so that the restructuring is voluntary versus involuntary. We can save ourselves, I think I should read, themselves money and strife by taking decisions in the pre-default phase rather than act post-default. And the rest of the details are there. This is Honorable Nderito Muriithi, Dr. Caroline Karuhu, and Dr. Mbui Wagasha. Also, we have John Badi and Saitoti Torome as member of the Azimio Economic Council. I didn't know also Dr. Mbui Wagasha is also in the Economic Council Committee, so to speak, as well.
We have no debt default because of the things that we have done. If we had not done the things we had done and we were going the way these people are doing at 30%, 30 billion subsidy every month, we would have been in debt default today. I've just told you 8 African countries are on the list. And I'm telling you, Kenya is doing something right. That's why IMF and World Bank are able to do business with us. You can't do business with a country that is not creditworthy. Kenya is doing something right. And those people of Azimio were saying we are heading towards debt default. We have not gone there because of the things we are doing. Let me ask, colleagues, just be honest. Let us not politicize things of economy. Things of economy are things that you need to add your voice, like they have done there, and we have acted, but not to come and tell Kenyans, oh, we can't do this, we can't do this, we can't do this. It doesn't help us.
I wanted to ask you just a simple question before I come to Honorable Makali. This edible oil deal, what was the reason for us going for the Kenya National Trading Corporation way? Is it that we lacked capacity here? Because we know they're manufacturers here, isn't it? Why is the government asking now the local manufacturer or the processors here to absorb this 125 metric tons, of which they've been greatly shy because it's of poor quality?
Let me tell
you. They were sidelined. No, they've been decrying, just a moment, they've been decrying the fact that, you overlooked them.
Correct.
And you went to actually import all this oil. Yes. Why did you overlook? And the sector we didn't have any scarcity of edible oil in the country, did we?
We had a very huge,
Why were they overlooked?
No, let me just tell you this, Dipal. I believe that a lot of something stinks inside that deal. The way it was structured, the way the whole thing was brought.
I'm not talking about the deal. I'm asking, why was this sector
Yeah, that is part of
neglected.
The deal. That is part of
and
the deal.
So
instead of leaving the whole thing to work the way it should work,
yes,
somebody decides to resurrect Kenya KNTC, which has not imported edible oil for the last, I don't know, more than a decade, to use it and give it certain advantages, and knowing very well,
and inflate the same prices that you are
yes, you wanted to cut a deal.
Okay.
So I believe wholly that this will be investigated, and somebody is going to get fired. People are going to go to jail, because I believe something something really stinks there. The new minister who has come there and the policymakers are looking at that thing. That is why there is now a desire to try and engage them and do things right, which I support. But again, it's the market. Everyone will make decisions according to how much money they will make, because it's the market economy. But I fully agree with my colleagues here that something is not right about the way the edible oil deal was handled. And I pray that the guys will be found and people will face the law.
Right.
Yeah, Dibal, you know what I wanted to say is on this matter of the cooking oil, I think from even the design stage, this was a very deliberate move for people to get money.
This was the budgeted corruption.
Exactly, because
that
if
we
you
talk
look
about.
at even the corporation, it was dormant. Nothing was happening there.
Correct.
Then you decide for a dormant corporation which has been not doing anything for the last 3-5 years, you come and pump such money there.
Over a decade, actually.
Yeah, over a decade.
I've never had
So
it even
for
myself
me,
as a journalist.
even from the design stage, we were expecting what we have seen. But let me come to the issue of what Mugata, and that's why we're allowing him time to finish so that we actually react to what he was saying. The issue of them getting proposals on how to improve the cost of living. Forget even about the Azimio presentation, the Kenya Kwanza government got presentation from the control of budget. That's where the issue of the budgeted corruption and salaries was being mentioned. There was presentation from the Institute of Economic Affairs. There was presentation from many non-government organizations saying if you are to do 1, 2, 3, you'll be able to change this situation. How many times in this forum and even in Parliament have we said we wish you did things differently? But what happens? They ignore all the recommendations, they ignore the good proposals, and they stick to their position. Just like what the president is saying. We are saying the G2G is not good for the country. He says it's very good for the country.
Not the
so when the top, but these are the only three who are benefiting, who are saying things. You know, when you're benefiting from
the president has said it. He said it. We've heard from the soapbox.
Yes. So the thing is, what we are saying is, how I wish that the Kenya Kwanza government could listen more other than talk more. Because I see a government which talks a lot, but listening very little. Because on a serious note, if you look at all those, even what the 9 points you have read there, they are very straightforward. Things you can do, change the situation the way it is today, make Kenyans happy. In 5 years, you are re-elected. I've actually always said, from where we sit as a Azimio team, we are even doing a disservice to ourselves. Because we are helping this government so much to an extent that we might also, at the end of the day, we might have nothing to tell Kenyans to do. How I wish we were fueling the fire so that we tell them do the way you are doing so that they become very, very unpopular with the Kenyans and we kick them out. Because they are not going to help us. I wish I was able to kick them out this year.
All right.
But you know what we are doing? We are helping them so that by the 5th year, they might be so good that even to kick them out of that position will be difficult.
And in fact, Dibal, you didn't even, I think you didn't even sum up the proposals from the Azimio on the talks. Very nice. You know, look at the poor Kenyans, the ones who get support, social support program. Azimio proposed to government and said, you know, instead of focusing on looking for positions for your friends, like cabinet administrative secretaries, I don't know, prime cabinet secretaries, adding more seats for members of parliament, cushion these elderly people in society by increasing the social support program from 2,000 to 4,000. But this is a government that does not want to listen. Why would you oppose such a proposal, Dibal? In terms of budgeted corruption, if you read further, the Azimio Economic Council is saying, let us have a full audit of our budget so that we fish out and bring to the fore and shame the people in government who plan and budget for corruption. But when that proposal reaches the table of our friends here, they will tell you, no, we don't want to listen. We are saying, let the government cut its expenditure by 30% in hospitality, in foreign travel, so that you can get more money. Instead of putting more pain on Kenyans by taxing them more, you will get more money saved by government so that you can push that money to the essential sectors. And then another proposal is to look at the entire tax regime, so that where some taxes are exorbitant, excessive, like in the oil industry, where when you go to fuel the barrel, you fuel for 217 shillings, the government takes straight away 81 shillings from you. And we say, let's sit down and relook at this tax regime. We see what tax we can remove, and then leave something. We don't want the government to remain with no taxes. We want the government to remain with some tax. But we can't overtax Kenyans. The economists from Azimia have told the government that if you make the tax regime in your country so unattractive, you lose investors. That's very simple.
Okay.
So
Thank
the
you.
thing I wanted to tell my friend is saying why the government is not giving solution to Kenyans. You know, when you're in government, as a government, you give hope to Kenyans. You cannot sell hopelessness to Kenyans and say we have not been given a solution by the opposition. That is not our business. The business of the government is to assure Kenyans that things are okay, things are better, but not to turn back and say, these people in opposition have not given us hope. What I'm reading here is a government of promise after promise, plan after plan, blame after blame, but there is nothing happening on the ground.
Okay, we'll come to...
It cannot be gloom for your government, blame.
No.
For how long are you going to blame former regime of President
Can I also
Kenyatta?
say something?
You know, that's
Please,
a tired
briefly,
song to Kenyans.
Can I also say something?
Now give a solution to Kenyans.
The solutions
You have
we
been
are
in government
giving
for
you.
14 months. You cannot every
The
day,
solution we are
every
giving
weekend,
you, it's just
you
that
say
you are not seeing it.
President Uhuru borrowed,
Not seeing it.
we inherited empty coffers.
And you see,
How long?
can I say something? You know,
Which is the vision?
here we are.
When will we get a solution?
We have
Lamentations up to
when
when?
I say these people are lamenting and not giving any
Who is
alternatives.
of the two?
You know, you have someone who is saying we must restructure debt, we must manage our debt, we must do the correct policies. That's the number 10 point that they are talking about. And then here they are telling us don't do anything about the tax policies. So government raises money through debt and taxation. Now they were taking debt to the extent that we could not go for debt. So we had to adjust the taxation, okay, to make our country creditworthy and not to make it sink into debt.
You have actually borrowed more than Uhuru.
And to go into being declared bankrupt.
Right.
So what we are saying is that don't speak from both sides of the mouth. Accept that we are in government. We have policies that we are implementing. And if you have alternatives, please put them on the table.
All right. Okay.
Don't just
Talking of
lament and
taxes,
tell us-
thank you, Honorable Mungatana. Talking of taxes, we know even as Kenyans are prepared to host the East Africa Tourism Expo in Nairobi this week, UDA member of National Assembly, if we could just run the auto cue by me so that we can go on with this story, please. This is regarding the tourism sector and the National Assembly that they're decrying some of the fees where we know it has been criticized. The UDA members of National Assembly has criticized the move by the government to raise levies in the tourism sector. We have Kilifi North Member of Parliament, Owen Bayer, who is also the deputy leader of the majority in the National Assembly, who says that is punitive and the punitive levies will cripple the ailing sector, especially at the cost. The hiking of the levies has caused uproar countrywide, as Husna Mohammed has. All right, do we have a story? If we couldn't, we can just continue a pace with that. Yeah, all right.
I can comment on it.
whose main source of income is tourism. Amid the hiked levies on the tourism sector by the government, many are afraid it may slow down the tourism department.
We are losing to Zanzibar. We are losing to Maldives. We are losing to other destinations because of our restrictions on visa.
Taxation of personal goods exceeding $500 and the hiked fees on visa is among the reasons for the uproar.
People are cancelling their visits to Kenya just because of the pictures they have seen on the internet about what is happening at JKIA. I want to ask the minister in charge, Kithure Kindiki, put your house in order, especially on migration officers.
Speaking at the Italy food exhibition in Kilifi County, the Tourism Cabinet Secretary Alfred Mutua said that relief is on the way.
I'd like to say that I had a conversation yesterday with the minister in charge of immigration, and we are changing the law. We'll be amending the law because we are looking at long-term visas. I know our president is also looking at how we can get free visa entry of our visitors coming from Italy and other places.
The ever-increasing cost of living is no longer news to Kenyans, though many are hoping for the reduction in levies and taxes imposed by the government in the tourism sector. The move has been seen as that which will compromise tourism rather than encourage. This happens as the East Africa Regional Tourism Expo and the Magical Kenya Tourism Expo opens at the Kenyatta International Convention Center, KICC in Nairobi Monday. Husna Mohammed, KT News.
All right, of course, we wake up to also this today after record taxes, state eyes also fees and fines. President William Ruto's administration has now turned its focus on fees and fines paid to state agencies for various services as the government targets an additional 112 billion shillings in non-tax revenue to supplement tax revenues in the current financial year. And the government expects the various state departments to collect a record 431.2 billion shillings in appropriation in aid or fees, fines and levies this year, explaining the desperate adjustment on charges for various services offered by the state. And all that is tucked away also on page 4 of the Daily Nation. Honorable Mugatana, on tourism. Now going to the national park, at least now that will be hiked. If you're paying 200 shillings, that will go to around 400 shillings, 500 shillings as it is. There has not been public participation. Yes. Even Member of Parliament, who is the Deputy Majority Leader of the National Assembly, is stoutly denying this particular move. This is where we are waking up to every day. We expect something else to be happening in terms of charges, in terms of fines, in terms of levies.
I don't.
And everyone has been asking, can it be truncated so that at least we don't have an accumulation of taxes that is just, being lumped on Kenyans at a go?
I wanted to agree with the Member of Parliament, Kilifi North, Owen Baya, because his constituency is where there's a lot of tourism and he knows what he's talking about. I think it is wrong to arbitrarily increase levies without public participation. And the backlash was there when they tried to increase the
ports levy,
the ID
as well,
replacement or ID application. I think completely unreasonable. Even if you want to do something, you should do it with the public with you, or it in a reasonable way, so that at least there is some form of reasonableness. I can't be paying 100 shillings today and then I'm paying 1,000 shillings next day. And this goes to the Ministry Interior, this goes to the Ministry of Lands, this goes to the Ministry of Tourism. I think that some reasonability needs to come into what these people are doing. And some of them are our own colleagues. We donated them from the legislative assemblies, either Senate or MPs. So they have served and they know. So I'm very surprised when all of a sudden they're doing things without explanation.
Especially when we head to the holding...
To the season of period, festivities and whatever you're increasing, what is going to happen is that, you see, like Kenya, in Mombasa, in Malindi, we are selling the sun, and we are selling the sun and the sands and the beach life. But the same cost is going all the way to Zanzibar, and other people can go to other destinations. So if you are making your life difficult here, On the other side, people will be gaining by bad policies. So I think the executive needs to re-examine. We are the ones who are carrying the political burdens. We are the ones who are explaining to people every day. We are the ones who are facing the backlash because we are in the hotbed of politics. We are asking them to rethink some of these things. Before you make any decisions arbitrarily, you have to sit down and consult. And we have parliamentary group meetings. We have political parties that are in Kenya Kwanza. Come and talk to us first before you go and announce increase. Even if it's A in A, you need to come and talk to us. Don't just say that I've been given a target of raising this amount, so I'm going to raise it from ID, I'm going to raise it from what? How then do you sustain the politics in the government? Because the government is not only administration, the government is also politics. So we urge our colleagues who are sitting in the executive side of government that they need to be sensitive to the realities that we are living with. Those of us who are every weekend sitting with our people, they have the luxury of only going to the people when they need to announce government policy. But for us, we have to meet our people every day. We have to talk to them every weekend when we are home, or every day when we are out of session. And it is not good to do things like this. It is like you are not sensitive to Kenyans. And I think this needs to drastically change.
Right.
So that's my opinion.
Thank you. Let's hear from, and I wanted just to pick up this because this is where we feel shortchanged, even what the business, the weekend in business and the Standard. If my director may just pick up, I read a snippet of it, that Kenya Power said, it says Kenya Power overbilled electricity consumers last year as it sought to recover the high fuel costs it incurred during the 2022 financial year. The Auditor General has pointed out a huge disparity between the money collected as fuel cost charge and the amount that Kenya Power paid to power producers as fuel cost. Electricity consumers paid 34 billion shillings in fuel cost, but the company paid 28.09 billion shillings to thermal power producers, according to its annual reports for the year to June 2023. Through the fuel cost charge, consumers compensate thermal power producers for the cost they incur in acquiring heavy fuel oil that they use to generate electricity. So what we're paying in our tokens is not a true reflection of what we use, because there's a bit of insincerity that is coming also from Kenya Power in terms of giving the ultimate consumption. You as a consumer, this is the ultimate or the appropriate and the correct consumption that you're actually making. So there's a buffer there that has been created by Kenya Power, and this is what the Auditor General is highlighting. How sincere are we, even with these fuel levies, with the power that we're paying? How should we be certain? Because we've had people complaining here, you come with your bill is 200,000 shillings, you go to Kenya Power, they say, it's been corrected, now it is 15,000 shillings. And you wonder, hey, from 200,000 to 15,000, there's something which is not quite right. Are they just operating on ballpark figures and guessing, or what is really happening? So
I think the issue of Kenya Power, the barrel, is a very complicated issue, and I think at one point I said, if Kenya Power was an animal.
We're not even navel gazing on the Kenya Power per se. I'm just saying the cost of living itself.
I'm saying if we were to discuss Kenya Power as an institution, I think we would just be saying close it and go home. There are so many problems. Even yesterday you saw the same Auditor General was saying they will not be able to collect money from now consumers, about 1.2 billion because of the metering charges. So there are many challenges, but I think the question you're asking about is, and let me go back to the issue of what Honorable Mbaya was saying. This is a very good demonstration of a government not on the same page in terms of policy direction, because Treasury is saying, if there is a way we can get more dollars to this country, the better for the country, so that we control our exchange rate. The other side, we are increasing the levies for the tourists. It is a common knowledge that the direct injection in terms of dollars comes from tourists. When a tourist lands in Kenya, they spend dollars. So it's just direct injection. And then you want to lock them. That means on a serious note, then you are not helping the other side of creation. The second point, the kind of products we are selling to these tourists are products which have been sold by our neighbors, Tanzania, Uganda, South Africa. And since we seem to have common products, then it is a competitive edge which we ride on in terms of what they want is higher value for their dollars. So if any of our neighbors provides such higher value than us, we are done. We are doomed. They will just redirect their flights to that other country. You see our numbers coming down. The other people numbers are increasing. So we are saying it is good that, as Mugatano was saying, it is good that as we make some of these policy statements and we implement some of these initiatives, we think about the other sectors of the economy. All said and done, all what we are seeing on the front page of the Nation today is what we call is a provision aids. And what has happened, if you look at the current budget, ordinary revenue, which is from taxes, is about 2.5. is about 400 billion. So that we have a total collection locally of about 2.9 trillion. So with that, what the ministries are doing is, because you have been allocated a target to achieve, so it is your work as the accounting officer to go out of your way to collect that amount, so that at the end of the year you will be said, I've achieved my target. Okay. And that's why you see now we have a problem. So you find that accounting officers are sitting in their offices thinking about innovative ways of collecting their target without caring about what impact this has on the other sector.
Thank you.
And I think that's where the confusion is.
All right, thank you. Yes. Honorable Kongo Mogini, so you're a tourism, you come to KRA, or you come to the Kenya JKIA, Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. You're harassed, first of all, because they say, they have to go through your suitcases to ascertain whether you've got any items that is dutiable. You have to pay. If it's your iPhone that you say it's been 2 months, you have to pay. If it's, of course, over and above 75,000 shillings. And I can see also the legislators, you're trying to raise this to at least 1 million. Then after that, you go to the national parks. The fees are exorbitant as well. So it is counterproductive. All right, can we just get our closing remarks briefly, beginning with you, please?
I think first is, I'm not surprised with those increase of taxes and levies. Seems that is the policy by the Uda administration. If you go to page 7, Senator Mudama has given a summary. He says when Uda is looking for money, the property that the government will look at are the citizens. That's why Ruto had to raid the pockets of Kenyans, because that's the only property that can be auctioned. So I think the policy by Uda is that we'll tax you till we auction you. That's what Senator Mudama has told us in the Nation today. I think really, when you're in government, I mean, it's here. We'll tax you till we auction you. So I expect more demand. Maybe next year, even the oxygen that you breathe will be taxed. Because imagine, part of the policy by government, even despite these hard economic times, is to increase fees for college and university students. I think this is the timing is wrong, Dibali. Even if you want to raise taxes through A&A, this is the wrong time, really, to try to add more pain to Kenyans. But I think, wanasema in Kiswahili, siku ya nyani ikifika hata muti utereza. You will make all these wrong policy day in, day out, and then you're just going nowhere. I hope the issue of tourists will lead with a lot of caution. The highest foreign earner for us is tourism. And you are surrounded by countries that literally have a competitive advantage. Tanzania, look at the vast Serengeti Mara. Look at the security situation there. So let people in government be very, very careful not to chase away tourists from Kenya.
Your closing remarks.
I'll just say that we as a government, we will not let this country go to the dogs. We will not let it slide into economic, mayhem, because we are looking for cheers and claps. We have a plan that we will implement. It is a hard thing. You have to make choices that are difficult. Our choices are limited, but we are asking Kenyans to look me in the eye and say that we are making hard decisions so that our country can survive, and then we go into the future.
Thank you.
In a better way than it is.
Honorable Mkatana, Senator of Tana River, thank you very much. Right, I thought you gave it closing remarks. Okay. Seconds.
In a second, Kenya Kwanza government should listen more, connect more with Kenyans. Otherwise, very soon, the George Weah moment will catch up with them.
Right, that is Abu Bakari's George Weah moment will come soon, so you better listen.
We'll catch up with them.
Thank you very much for your valid company. You've been watching Standpoint here on the Morning Prime. Don't go away. News Diary is up next.